So we are at 2 o'clock on the dot. I do see a couple of more people logging in, but we're going to go ahead and get started here. So welcome to another Qgiv webinar. We have a very exciting topic to discuss today and something that is really relevant during your year-end fundraising campaigns that are going on. Whether you do participate in Giving Tuesday or not, year-end fundraising is always relevant. We see that a lot of donors give during this time of year, and it's a very good time for your organization in terms of earning more charitable donations from your donors. But one thing that I really want to focus on here is why retention is such an important strategy for your organization to implement, and go over some best practices and tips and provide some real examples of how your organization can do this during your year-end fundraising campaigns. But first, before we get started there, any of those that are unfamiliar with Qgiv, we are an online fundraising platform. We have solutions for all size nonprofits, including year-round fundraising tools, text giving, peer-to-peer fundraising, and auction tools. You are at the center of everything that we do, and our goal is to make fundraising as easy as possible so you can raise more money online. If you're interested in learning more, please visit us at www.qgiv.com to learn more. A few house notes before we get started today. We will be recording this webinar, and I'll send you a video recording and a copy of the slides after we complete today's session. So be on the lookout for that. It'll probably be tomorrow morning. So I'll send it directly to your email inbox. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. The best way is to ask in the Q&A option in Zoom. I do monitor both the Q&A and the chat options. It's just a lot easier for myself to follow all of the questions that you have in the Q&A. If you do put it in the chat, don't worry, I'll see it. But the Q&A option is the easiest for me to track and make sure that I address all the questions that come through. And if you do have a Twitter, please share your highlights and key takeaways with the hashtag QGivWebinar, and make sure to follow us at Qgiv. So a little bit about myself. I've been with Qgiv for 4 years now. So I started in November 2018. So time sure does fly by. It's been a lot of fun here at Qgiv. And I've been a marketing professional for over 7 years now, which is completely crazy. I feel like I'm still young and starting out in my career, but 7 years goes by like that. My area of expertise is in digital marketing and optimizing the user experience, which is to say that I try to make your life easier when you're learning about Qgiv online. So a lot of the things that we talk about here today are right up my alley, and talking about retaining, how we retain our clients here at Qgiv is going to be relevant for retaining how your organization can retain your donors during this year-end fundraising campaigns. And I also do have 3 animals. I have 1 cat and 2 dogs. They are certainly a handful, but I love them to death. Fortunately, I'm not at home. They love to crash my webinars, so it's a lot easier when I'm actually doing it out of the office, so I don't get any surprise visitors during the webinar itself. So let's go ahead and start with why we should be focusing on recurring giving. I know you guys have a lot going on this time of year, but it's important that we look at recurring giving as an avenue to not only fuel our giving experience during year end, but to also fuel our annual fundraising for next year and continue to get more sustaining donors as we go through our year-round fundraising going into 2023. So why should we focus on recurring giving? The first and number one is that recurring donors just give more. We see that 42% of recurring donors give more money than one-time donors in a given year. So it's very important, as sustaining donors often just give more to your organization. Recurring donors also have a higher lifetime value than one-time donors. And that's over the entire lifetime of a donor giving to your organization. So the lifetime value is essentially taking what cost it is to acquire one donor and then subtracting that by how much they have given into your organization. So it's a lot more expensive to acquire new donors, but it's a lot less expensive for your organization to keep them. So once you do get those new donors in the door, it is very important that you focus on the donor retention aspect of it, as it will be a lot less expensive to keep them giving to your organization. And also we see that recurring donors have a higher ROI. So an average monthly recurring donation is about $31 through the Qgiv platform. And that's $372 per year from sustaining donors. Now, you may get more or less from your one-time donors in that, but we do see that recurring donors have a higher ROI, simply because, as I was explaining earlier with the lifetime value, is that the acquisition cost of acquiring recurring donors and keeping them in your pipeline is a lot less expensive than it is to acquire a new donor. And they, like I mentioned earlier, they do tend to give more than your one-time donors. So keeping them involved in your organization is very important in terms of overall ROI and generating income into your organization. And acquiring one recurring donor is much more cost effective than acquiring a one-time donor. So going along that same vein as we were talking about, the amount of money that you have to invest into getting a one-time donor is much more expensive than it is to continue to nurture and discuss different options at your organization for recurring donors. So this is a very important topic for your organization to continue to have a sustainable model for your organization and your philanthropic efforts. Number two, recurring donors stay more involved with your organizations. As we said, recurring donors are more often give to your organization, but it's very important that they stay up to date as well. If they're giving to your organization on a more frequent basis, they like to stay up to date with any company news that you have going on and any updates that you have from your organization. So I do encourage you to keep your donors involved and sending them updates about all the great work that your organization is doing. Some of the stats that we see here: recurring donors are 2 times more likely to support a nonprofit beyond 1 year. And that means if they're giving to your organization, they are more likely, if they are giving a recurring gift to your organization, to do that in year 2 and year 3 and so on and so forth. So they are 2 times more likely to stay involved with your organization than a one-time donor. And a 90% average retention rate. So this goes along with that 2 times. 90% average retention rate for monthly donors after 1 year. So again, as we get into year 2 and year 3, we tend to continue to have those recurring donors at a 90% rate. So we tend to have a year-over-year retention rate of 90% for recurring donors. That is a very important bottom line for your organization and keeping funds coming into your organization. And 10 to 14% of recurring donors register for events and participate in peer-to-peer fundraisers. So not only are they giving to your organization on a monthly or quarterly or however they like to choose, they are giving to your organization in a frequent basis, but they also often interact with our events. They like to register and go to them, and they also like to raise money through peer-to-peer fundraising as well. So it is very important to continue to keep them in your pipelines and talking to them and getting them involved even more with your organization, no matter what the type of event is. And donors prefer recurring giving. So we see this in a lot of industry trends, that it's just more convenient for donors to give to your organization on a recurring basis. A large one-time donation places much more burden on your one-time donors. So breaking up that large donation into smaller gifts, smaller chunks that they give throughout the year, it's much easier for donors to initiate a gift then. There's not much of an obstacle to overcome. It is much easier to have a donor give $300 over the course of 10 months than it is to just ask them for $300 outright. So it is a model for donors to give to your organization that makes it a lot easier on them to give to your organization on a recurring basis, because they don't really feel as big an impact as they would if they just gave $300 versus $30 a month, right? So in a survey that we see throughout our industry is that 61.5% of donors choose to give monthly when it is offered on a donation form. So it goes back to what we're saying. They do prefer to give through recurring giving when it is an option. $25, like I was mentioning before, is much more attainable to donors than giving $300 one time. So it's just a lot easier for them to do this over the course of a 12-month period if they're giving on a monthly basis than it is to just give out $300 one time. And small gifts, they give donors more happiness than a large one-time donation. So if they do give that $300 donation that one time, they're going to be really happy. They supported your organization. But if they do break that up into a $25 monthly gift, now they get that that happiness that they have for giving that small gift, and they do it over a year's time frame. So now they feel like they're supporting your organization in a more frequent basis, and it makes them feel better. So as we say, this all goes back to donors do prefer recurring giving, but for all of the reasons that you see here, it's a lot easier on them financially, and it does make them happier when they're just giving to your organization on a more frequent basis. So what are we going to be covering today in depth with this webinar? So we're going to take a look at how your organization can increase recurring gifts, how to encourage your donors to upgrade their one-time gift, and what to do past year-end campaigns to show your donors how to build and how you can build awareness for your recurring giving options, how to optimize your donation pages and donation forms specifically for recurring gifts, how to build loyalty and inspire advocacy from your donors so that they want to give and interact with your organization on a frequent basis. So something that we talked about in a previous webinar of mine for the donor journey for Giving Tuesday is that there are multiple different phases in which donors are going to interact with your organization. So as you see here, we have what we call the awareness phase. So donors are interacting with any of your ads that you have, your emails, your blog posts, your press releases, your social media. And some really important questions that you should be asking yourself during that phase is how you're perceived through your external communications, and are you sending the right message to your donors, and how are donors perceiving you? The next phase in this is the consideration phase. Do donors understand your cause and how you make an impact on your communities? And do donors trust your organization? And they'll go to sites like Charity Navigator, they'll go to your website pages, such as your About page, or any page that is dedicated to describing your cause, because they want to learn more about your organization before they actually donate. Then becomes the decision phase. So at this stage in the donor journey, they are well researched on your organization. They've gone through all of the different avenues to learn more about you and how you impact your communities. And now they're looking to your donation pages and your donation form to actually give to your organization. So very important questions here is how easy it is for your donors to find your donation form. Do you have a button that's very clear that shows donors where they need to go to give? And is your donation form difficult to understand? Do you have a lot of different fields on the form and it just bogs them down? Very important questions to ask. So we really went in depth in our Giving Tuesday donor journey discussion. So I do urge everyone to go back and check that out, as we tackled a lot of different things that your organization can do throughout the phases of the donor journey to not only drive additional donors, but to make sure that you're building appropriate awareness and making sure that you're optimizing the donor journey to make it easy for donors to give to your organization. What we're really focusing on in this webinar today is the loyalty and advocacy phase. So here we're thanking our donors. We're sending receipts. We're sending thank you emails. We are sending additional ask emails, and we are optimizing our donation pages and everything else that goes along with this, because we want our donors to not only have a great experience throughout the decision phase to give to our organization, but then we also want to continue to provide that good donor experience throughout the loyalty and advocacy phase so that we can continue to inspire them to engage and continue to give a second, a third, or a fourth gift, and so on and so forth, and set up a recurring gift because they had such a great experience with our organization that they want to continue to interact with us. So that's what we're going to focus on today. How can we thank our donors and how can we make them feel good for giving to our organization? So one of the first things that we'll want to do on our donation pages and our forms is add a recurring giving option. Now, it seems like this should be a no-brainer, right? But if donors have an easy way to visualize how to make a recurring gift, then they are more likely and more accepting of giving a recurring gift to your organization. And this can look just like this donation form. A lot of the industry forms that we see, they tend to have these different types of tabs for a one-time and a monthly. And I do encourage that when you are setting up your Giving Tuesday forms or your year-end giving forms, if you do not participate in Giving Tuesday, or you have a whole campaign that has different forms for both, that you do offer this recurring giving option on your forms to make sure that they know how to give to your organization in a recurring basis. Some things that you really should consider here to make this a good donor experience for those that are giving to your organization is provide multiple recurring giving options, including custom and preset giving plans. So what I mean by that is that you want to, one, be able to provide your recurring giving donors an option to choose how much they're donating to your organization and in what frequency, whether that's going to be a biweekly, whether that's going to be weekly, a monthly, a quarterly, or an annual plan that they set up. You want to give them multiple options so that they can choose how they give to your organization. On the flip side, what you can do is what's called a preset giving plan. So let's say that your organization has a specific need that you would like to solve during your year-end fundraising campaign, and you're going to tie that impact on your donation form. Well, instead of, let's say it's for one of the examples that I like to use is Qgiv when they were doing their Giving Tuesday campaign centered around bunk beds for their kids as they were sleeping on sleeping bags on the floor. Is what they did is they said $50, it will buy one single bed for a kid, and you can also donate $150 for an entire bunk bed for two kids. And they set up a preset giving plan that basically broke down that $150 into monthly payments so that it was easier on the donor to not only understand the impact and what they're giving to their organization, but what the actual real outcome is after they finish their recurring gift. So preset giving plans help your organization do that. And I think there's many different forms of how that will sort of play out across the nonprofit fundraising tools industry, but on Qgiv specifically, we make it pretty easy for your organization to do that. And as I mentioned before, make sure that you're offering multiple giving frequencies for your donors to give based on their own preference. One thing that I do want to caution on this is don't provide too many giving frequencies. So here at Qgiv, we have a weekly option, a biweekly option, a monthly, a quarterly, and an annually. So those are 5 giving frequencies. And that's pretty much my cap of my recommendation. If you offer even more in-depth kind of giving frequencies, you're going to have too many options for your donors, and it's going to cause donor friction, and they're most likely not going to give to your organization because there's just too many things for them to choose. So I do recommend that you limit the number of frequencies that you are adding to your monthly giving, your recurring giving programs when you're setting them up. And finally, allow donors to set start and end dates. So if you are offering such as the preset giving plans, or you're just allowing them to set up custom, make sure that you are adding these start and end dates so they can set when they would like to start their gift and when they would like to end it. There are options for them to not set up an end date, or they just can start the donation on that specific date that they're giving. But offering this is offering your donors basically the decision to choose how they want to give to your organization and how long they want to give. So providing those options are very important to acquire more recurring giving donors. Next, use subtle reminders on your donation forms to encourage donors to upgrade their one-time gift into a recurring gift on your donation form. So we see this in multiple different variations throughout the nonprofit fundraising tools ecosphere that we have. But for example, here on Qgiv, we have an option. We have the one-time tab and the ongoing tab that organizations can customize to however they would like to choose. So we do see that option throughout the nonprofit fundraising tools industry. So there will most likely be multiple tabs, and if you can customize it, I do recommend customizing it to what your donors understand on how they can give to your organization. Some things that I recommend here: make sure to highlight recurring giving options on your donation form. So if you have the tab layout, that makes it a lot easier for you to sort of call out the recurring options that you have, but you can also add these text options as well in the custom widgets, or if you have any other text that you can use, or any types of banner images or other types of images, you can call out recurring giving on your donation form to encourage donors to give. You can also use callouts to encourage these upgrades. So if you see right next to the form there, you see a little calendar with a heart that's one of the callouts that we have. We also have the multiplier impact, make it monthly there, right below the other option on the donation form. So they're used multiple ways to draw the attention of donors on your donation form to make sure that they know that recurring giving is an option. And finally, you can use a prompt. So right before donors are about to give, on Qgiv's donation forms, you have the ability to display a final ask for donors to upgrade their one-time gift into a recurring gift. So make sure that you're using prompts as well to make sure that donors understand the benefit of recurring giving. Also, I do suggest showing recurring giving options on your donation page. So on your donation form, we want to make sure that we're calling out recurring giving options. But as I mentioned earlier, you can use multiple design elements on your donation page specifically to encourage donors to make a recurring gift, such as creating a banner image that we see here with Giving Tuesday. And we also have the Green City Market that showed what giving options actually tie back to the real impact that is happening at their organization. And along with that same vein, those impact statements, they are breaking it up and making it easier for their donors to understand how they are making an impact at their organization. One of the biggest things and best advice that I can give is to eliminate as many distractions as possible. So adding any type of website navigation or any other engagement opportunities, all it does is it's going to lead your donors away from your form, which is not the best choice. So really make very strategic and thoughtful decisions on what you are adding to your donation forms and your donation pages to focus on the one thing that you're asking your donors to do, which is give to your organization. So do be mindful of everything that you are adding to your donation pages, that you're making sure that it is leading to that one goal that you have in mind. So let's look at an example that we have. So I really like this example for many different reasons, but first and foremost, as we've been talking about, they added recurring gifts and they used the one-time and the ongoing tab with the through Qgiv itself. They used callouts and the reminders to their donation form to really draw the attention of their donors to those recurring giving options. You also see that they added matching gifts included at the top of the page to give more of an incentive to their donors to give. Double your impact, right? We always talk about matching gifts, that it is an important thing to increase the amount that is coming through to your organization and entice donors because they know that they are making a bigger impact with matching gifts. You can see the thermometer here. Thermometers are a great way to show what your fundraising goal is and how close you are. And it will often entice donors to give to your organization the closer that you get. So adding that is a very important step. And then they also have social widgets. So donors can see all the social posts and actually visit your organization's social pages so that they can see some of the different types of communications that you have going on and learn more about your organization. Like I said, research is a very important thing. So specifically with Qgiv's donation forms, I wanted to call out a couple of things, and we do have we have a lot of the thank you and receipts coming up too. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that we have on Qgiv donation forms that your organization can use. As I mentioned earlier, that recurring tab, you can customize it to whatever text that you need. So it can be ongoing, it can be monthly, it can be whatever your organization needs to make sure that you're calling that out appropriately. We also have what we call the subtle reminders here. So this is basically a way for your organization to draw the attention of your donors to recurring gifts, and you can customize that as well so that they know the value added to making a recurring gift, and you can put an impact statement in there as well. And this is an example of a recurring prompt. So as donors are going through the giving process, right before they get to the final step before submitting their donation, we have this one prompt that you can add to your donation forms that asks them to make it an ongoing donation and a recurring gift. So it's that one question at the end to ask them if they would like to upgrade to a recurring gift. We also have the ability for your organization to add images and text on your donation forms. So being able to show the impact that your donors will be making to your organization. And then we have those giving plans, as I discussed earlier, and the ability to do start and end dates as well. And we allow your organization to customize any of your donation pages that you have. So you can get really creative in what you want to do during your Giving Tuesday campaigns and your year-end fundraising campaigns. And if you do not like any multi-step forms and you just want your donors to fill out one form and they don't have to keep clicking, then we do have options for both a multi-step form and the single step form, as you see here. And finally, we have those multiple giving frequencies, as I mentioned earlier. It gives your donors a lot of options for how they want to choose to give to your organization. So let's start with how to build awareness of recurring giving options during your year-end fundraising and your Giving Tuesday campaigns. So the first and foremost, send a dedicated appeal. You'll want to craft specific messaging in your emails and your social media, your direct mail, and any other appeals that you're sending to your donors to make sure that they understand that recurring gifts, that there are recurring gifts and that that's what you were seeking. And one of the biggest things that I can say here, if you are looking for the recurring gifts during your year-end fundraising campaigns, the simple thing to do is ask. That's all you can do to your donors. If you're looking for that, make sure that you are adding that into your appeals so that your donors know that that is an option on your forms. So the first and foremost, as we talked about, make sure that you are adding recurring gifts to your appeals for year-end and Giving Tuesday. You'll want to tie back your recurring giving to whatever messaging that you have crafted for Giving Tuesday and tying that back to that greater impact that they are making. What is the tangible outcome of this donation that donors are giving to your organization? Let them know what they are doing and how it's impacting your organization. Another option, as I mentioned, is to send a dedicated appeal for recurring gifts. So outside of just mentioning that recurring gifts are an option, this is solely dedicated to tying a recurring gift back to something tangible during your year-end and Giving Tuesday messaging. And the entire email is focused on a recurring gift. You want to add messaging about why you need recurring gifts, how that will make a greater impact, right? So a one-time donation, it makes a great impact for your organization, but how can a recurring gift make a greater impact to your organization? Because that will make donors feel special in what they are giving. So you got to tie that back to something tangible for them. And obviously show the impact. You can tell them, but showing the impact is what makes it's really tangible at that point if they can see the impact that they're making. These go best if you have a general need for ongoing support at your nonprofit. You may have support resources like therapy for the homeless or an additional resource such as like free haircuts. These are supported by specific ongoing funds. So make sure that if you do have those types of services that you're communicating the need that you have there. Additionally, if you have multiple needs that require ongoing support, you can create those giving plans, as I mentioned earlier, so that donors can choose the programs that they want to support. In all of your appeals, the best practice that you should apply to across the board is to show donors the impact of that gift. And as we've talked about on previous webinars, and we talk about it a lot when we are crafting our nonprofit story and how we are messaging to our donors, it's because explaining the impact of a recurring gift increases the likelihood of donors upgrading their one-time gift. You can use text to describe how donors will make that greater impact. You can use images and videos. Videos are a very strong use case for your organization that you can use on social media, you can use in any of your email campaigns, and you can use even in your thank yous as well. Video is what really ties some of that visual impact, and it's a lot easier than you might expect. And you want to, again, show what donors are impacting and make sure that you're explaining what is accomplished. Can they make a bigger impact if I am sponsoring a child? Am I sponsoring an animal? How am I making a bigger difference? And make sure that you include that in all of your appeals, on your donation forms, on your receipts, and help donors understand who they're helping when they're giving to your organization. Another engaging way to get more recurring donors is to offer incentives. And offering incentives will make your donors feel special. It makes them feel included into something that is important to your organization. And since they are giving a recurring gift, it offers a sort of exclusivity. Lots of donors would feel that way, and we see that just in the general population that we have here, is that people like exclusivity. Excuse me. They like that. They like to feel like they are a part of something greater than themselves, and this is a great way to do that. And one thing that you can do here is segment appeals that you're sending to your recurring donors. So it's not only important to recognize a recurring donor if they are already contributing to your organization, but if you would like them to upgrade, let's say, their one-time gift into a recurring gift, make sure that you are recognizing the support that they're giving to your organization already, and you're crafting specific messaging around it so that they understand that your organization hears them and is they enjoy, you are using their funds to the best of your ability, and then that if they give more to your organization, they will make a greater impact. One way that you can also do this is using a special type of language in your appeals, and we'll see an example a little bit later about be a hero, which is always something that would resonate with any donors, really, is being a hero to the community that you are helping. You can also create an exclusive group. People love to be involved, and they want to feel special when they feel special when they're a part of an exclusive group. This will keep donors involved with your organization and create a community around it. You can also offer extra incentives. Since these donors are more involved with your organization, they will most likely want to stay up to date on the news that is coming from your organization. They would like to attend events that you're hosting, and they would also even support your organization by wearing a shirt or a hat. So it's always a good option to make sure that you have special newsletters that go specifically to your recurring donors so that they can keep up to date on your organization, everything that's going on. You can provide free tickets to any upcoming events or even free merchandise that supports your organization. You can, if they are coming to an event that you have and they buy a ticket, you can even upgrade their ticket for free to a VIP so that they feel special. Really, your one goal here is to make sure that your recurring donors feel heard by your organization, and that you are making them feel special throughout the process. So there are many different ways that your organization can pull this off, but those are just a few examples that you can try out. So here's an example of one of the recurring donation appeal example that I was talking about, helping up heroes by helping up mission. So they sent a specific appeal to help their vulnerable in their community, and their messaging is be a hero to the vulnerable. That is a very impactful statement, and this image here specifically is very impactful as well, as you are visualizing who you're going to be helping in your organization. They break down the different impacts of each donation amount that they have for their monthly donation amounts. And they created an exclusive group here, which is helping up heroes. They even used a special language in their appeal call to action as being, I want to be a hero. So these are great ways that your organization can not only show the value of the donation and the impact that donors are going to give to your organization, but also breaking that down so that they understand that and then feel exclusive when they click, I want to be a hero, right? Making donors feel special is very important. So as we continue on, building awareness for our recurring giving, you can do this all through Qgiv that we have. So with Qgiv specifically, we can help you retain and cultivate your recurring donors. You can pull a list of recurring donors through our system and send out those segmented appeals, right? So like we're saying, recognizing that your donors are giving to your organization on an ongoing basis. And this provides a more personal touch to and outreach to those supporters. If you're using a CRM or an email integration, you can go ahead and use that list of new and recurring donors to either export or import into the system that you have so that you can easily update your donor records, or you can use it in your email integration to send specific segmented appeals to your sustaining donors. You can also, when you're sending these appeals through them, you want to go ahead and mention how their support has impacted your organization, not only in future appeals, but also in your thank you emails as well. And in your thank you emails that you see here, all of that is customized. Your organization can create any type of receipt that you want into Qgiv itself, and you can even add those little personalizations like "Thank you, Todd" is always a great way to add those little personalization details that make donors feel special. So now we're continuing down this journey of building that loyalty and inspiring advocacy, right? So we've went through a couple of ways on how you can build awareness for your Giving Tuesday, during your Giving Tuesday and year-end campaigns for your year-end, for your recurring giving. We talked about how to optimize your donation forms and your donation pages to make it easier for donors to explore and find your donation form during your campaigns. Now we're going to talk about more of the advocacy side. How are we going to build loyalty and turn our donors into advocates? So let's start with what we can do during our year-end fundraising campaigns. So on our donation confirmation page, so this is our thank you after our donors give to our organization, and we're letting them know that we have received the donation, is we want to set up specific thank you pages for our year-end campaigns with an impact statement. So we want to make sure that donors already gave, and we want to show them how they're going to be giving, how they're going to make an impact at our organization. If you have a video that you can share, you can add that to a donation thank you pay confirmation page as well, or you can add a personalized video. So if you have time and you can swap out certain details for like their first name, then you can also add a personalized video thanking them and showing them the impact of their gift. Let them know how to expect a thank you email. And make sure to add different social sharing so donors can easily share your donation, their donation and your mission to their social media pages or through email or whoever that they want to reach out to. Make sure that you have those different social sharing, those different sharing options on your thank you page. And include a donation verification and your nonprofit's tax information. Obviously, it makes it a lot easier for donors after they give to your organization to take that and make sure that they have that for their records when they are going to file their taxes, right? Next, craft specific donation receipts for your year-end campaign using that special language that we talked about earlier. So first and foremost, you want to make it personal, right? You want to have that personalized salutation here. And as you can see in this example here, you have dear, and it's a donor. So that's a specific tag that we have in Qgiv's system that will swap that out for their name, right? So like we saw earlier, thank you, Todd. You can also do the same thing here with your receipts, and that's how sort of the tag works. So once your donors have set up their gift, make sure you start cultivating that relationship, and that starts with these donation receipts and adding that personal touch with the personalized salutation. Include a sincere thank you message as well. So reiterating your year-end and your Giving Tuesday messaging and really thanking them for the impact that they're making to your organization. And make sure that you personalize these thank yous to the one-time and the recurring donors. So this is the one great step towards this retention, is building up those two different emails for segmentation. So you'll not only will your recurring donors feel more special because you are recognizing that they are giving a recurring gift to your organization, but it also can kickstart some of the other things that we talk about. Since they do tend to stay more involved, you can add in different subscription types for your newsletters, or you can direct them to other different volunteer opportunities and things like that. So this is a great way to do that in segmentation through the Qgiv platform. And make sure that you include an impact statement and a video if you have one to sort of show that impact to your donors. And like I said, make sure that you tell donors how they can stay involved with your organization. So some other ways that you can thank donors, and there are many different examples that we've seen across the board. But one of the great things that we saw in recent years was posting a quick update on your year-end campaign through social media. And you can even include a picture or a video and a link back to your form. So essentially, some of the communication strategies that we recommend is that you post different updates throughout Giving Tuesday or your year-end campaign to make sure that donors know where you are as you're raising money. And if you're getting really close to your goal through your year-end fundraising campaign, they will tend to help you continue that momentum to get over the threshold. And you can also do a special thank you like you see here with this social media video where they had different donors who had donated. They thanked them for their gift and then posted it to their social media so that people could see how other donors were interacting with their organization. Another great idea is to give your donors a quick call to show your appreciation during your year-end campaigns. You can send a text message with personalization to make sure that they see it. We see a lot of great open rates with text messaging, so it is bound to be seen by your donors if you are sending a text message. And you can mail donors a handwritten note or send them a thank you gift. So a lot of creative ways that you can thank your donors to keep them involved and feel special and heard by your organization. Customizing your receipts. So in Qgiv specifically, you'll want to set up your custom receipts, and you'll use our receipting tool to do this. So we have a lot of great things in our receipts that make it easy for your organization to set these up and essentially tailor the message based on what you need. So I do recommend that you do create those special receipts for your recurring donors. Adding conditional content that makes those donors feel special. So, if you see that they are giving a recurring gift to your donor, you can actually add conditional content to those receipts to make sure that you call it out and thank them, especially for giving that donation to your organization. Make sure that you add photos and links, and you can do that through the Qgiv platform as well. We make it really easy with what we call a WYSIWYG, so what you see is what you get. Makes it really easy for your organization to add those photos and links. And make sure that when you do create these, that you update them periodically so they don't get stale. So one thing that you can always revisit during a new year for year-end fundraising and Giving Tuesday is just to revisit them and make sure that you're staying on the right track for your messaging. But also, as you get throughout the year-end campaign and your Giving Tuesday, you can also update those with any new pictures that you have, any new thank yous or impact statements that you come up with. Make sure that you update them periodically so that they don't become stale. So now here is the bread and butter, right? After your year-end campaign, it is so important that you continue to communicate with your donors about the impact that was made and make sure that they understand where you ended up with after your campaign. So once your year-end fundraising campaign is over, make sure that you provide updates to donors on how your campaign went. Let them know how much you raised, if you met your goal, and how their funds will be used. And you can send this through emails. We're talking about the handwritten notes. You can do this through phone calls, text messages, and social media. So lots of ways for you to communicate this with your donors, but use that personalization that we talked about. Make sure that you recognize their one-time and recurring donor status and that you are updating them on the progress. Again, provide ways for your donors to continue to stay involved, whether that's through events or through newsletters to stay up to date on the company news that you have. And of course, segmenting those donor communications to make sure that they know that you recognize their support. So next, you can send those segment appeals to your recurring donors. And you can show them the impact by by sending these different segmented appeals. So you'll want to send a sustaining donors specific emails that are going out periodically to let them know what they're achieving. So as we were saying earlier, if you have a service that is tied back to something that needs ongoing support, this is a great way to continue to communicate to your sustaining donors that this is what you're accomplishing, and providing video updates or different image updates as well to your receipts and thank yous to let them know that, hey, we thank you for support and this is what you're achieving. You can also post these updates to your organization's social media accounts. And what you can also do during these times is to periodically ask sustaining donors to upgrade their gift amount. So if they're giving $25 on a recurring basis, you can thank them for their gift, show them the impact they're making. And again, what you're asking them to do is make a greater impact. So show them how they can make a greater impact and ask them if they are willing to upgrade their gift that they have. And another thing that you can do is build outreach plans for lapsed donors and canceled credit cards. So 47% of nonprofits never reach out to retain a recurring donor after a credit card was canceled. And if you just had an outreach plan to identify those lapsed donors or anyone that's at risk that had their credit card canceled for whatever, they got a new card or something, build an outreach plan. Make sure that you're reaching out to those donors to make sure that they continue to interact with your organization. You don't want to lose those donors, and most likely it's just because they forgot about it, that they were giving to your organization, or if there was a specific reason, then you can actually talk about them. And if it's because they're not getting impact updates, or they don't know what impact they're making to your organization, then you can actually communicate with them when you do follow up. So make sure that you do have an outreach plan for those donors. Now, if you want to raise more during your Giving Tuesday campaigns or your year-end campaigns, we know that these times of the year are very crowded with other nonprofits. Everyone wants to round out their year-end fundraising campaign. So these are a couple of ways that your organization can stand out and get in front of donors throughout this giving season. So one way is to use text fundraising. Text fundraising is a great way to get in front of donors. They have a 98% open rate for after you send your text messages, and it's within the first 5 minutes. A 98% open rate in the first 5 minutes. That is an insanely high open rate, and they get really great engagement. So what you can do is set up your keyword and tie it to your donation form with a keyword that is tied to your Giving Tuesday or year-end campaign fundraising. So it's a great way to continue to reiterate your message and ask donors to give to your organization. And you can even set up a recurring gift directly through text fundraising. So great option for your organization to stand out. All donors need to do is text the short code and type in the amount that they want to give to your organization. They'll land on a very shortened form version of your donation form that includes those recurring giving options. So great way to get in front of donors and to ask them for a recurring gift. You can also use peer-to-peer fundraising. So we see a lot of different ways that this is implemented. Some organizations use peer-to-peer fundraising to kick off their year-end campaign on Giving Tuesday. Some organizations like to start their peer-to-peer fundraiser a month or so before Giving Tuesday and use Giving Tuesday as the cutoff, as this is what we want to raise, and then on Giving Tuesday we're going to finalize our peer-to-peer fundraiser for our goal. So peer-to-peer fundraising is a great way to empower your donors to fundraise on your behalf. So it's a great tool to stand out and use for your Giving Tuesday campaigns. You can set up a racing event such as a walkathon or a fun run or anything like that to get donors engaged with your organization. You can do board fundraising campaigns. So you can talk with your board to reach out to their networks and ask them to fundraise on behalf of your organization and to raise funds. You can even set up DIY fundraising events. So with this time of the year, setting up a DIY allows donors to give to your organization and set up a peer-to-peer campaign to raise money based on a certain holiday event. So if you set up a DIY fundraising event for a Christmas, for example, what donors can do is can sign up, set up a dedicated landing page for themselves to explain why they want their family to give to your organization instead of giving them a gift on Christmas. So DIY, great way to use during the holiday season, and when giving is especially on the top of your donors' minds. I mean, really, peer-to-peer fundraising can be used with anything. It's a great fundraising platform, and I encourage you to check out more on qgiv.com to see how your organization can use it. So what's next? If you are interested in using any of Qgiv's fundraising tools, we have everything that you need for this year-end fundraising season and Giving Tuesday. So if you're just looking for donation forms and donation pages, as we were talking about earlier, all of that is included in our $0 a month package. So you can get signed up very quickly, and it does not cost you anything to get signed up or to use our services on an ongoing basis. We only have a platform fee here that you see for the processing from our side and for the credit card processing. If you're interested in using any of the other tools here, such as text fundraising or peer-to-peer fundraising, if you want to do a gala at the end of this year with an auction event attached to it, then you have all of these options as well to stand out in the crowd. And you can see the different prices that we have here. If you are interested in learning more, please let us know. You can go to qgiv.com/demo-request. And I know our team here would love to talk to you about how Qgiv can work for you during this time of the year. If you are a Qgiv customer and you would like to learn about anything that you saw here today and would like someone to show you how to use that for your specific campaign, you can feel free to reach out to us at support@qgiv.com, and they'll be happy to walk you through how to set that up for yourself. And if you have any more questions about best practices, please feel free to visit the qgiv.com/blog. We have a ton of different information there for Giving Tuesday campaigns, year-end fundraising, and really anything. If you're looking for anything, go there. There's a ton of different free resources for your organization to help you with any of your fundraising needs. So I want to go ahead and open the floor for questions. I ran a little bit long there. We had a lot of information to cover, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them now.